There comes a moment when your life stops asking politely. It stops whispering and starts demanding. Not in words, but in circumstances, in pressure, in delay, in the quiet frustration that fills the gap between who you could be and who you've chosen to remain. It shows up not as a lightning strike, but as a slow and a restless ache that says you were made for more, but you're living like less. And here's the part most people never say out loud. Transformation doesn't start with motivation. It starts with discomfort. And you feel it right now, don't you? That low-grade dissatisfaction with your own patterns. That inner war between your vision and your habits, between what you say you want and what you've actually been doing. But here's the truth. The next 90 days don't care about your excuses. They don't care about your plans, your inspiration, or your perfect timing. They will do one thing and one thing only: expose your truth. They'll show you your patterns in HD. They'll magnify every compromise, every delay, every watered-down version of commitment. And when it's over, one of two things will be true. You'll either look back and meet the version of you who finally showed up, or you'll meet the version of you who once again let life happen to them. The next 90 days will not gently guide you. They will forge you or fracture you, but either way, they will not leave you the same. So make the decision now. Will you build momentum or collect regrets? Because no matter what happens next, one thing is certain. The next 90 days will break you or build you. But the choice was always yours. There comes a moment so quiet, so invisible to the outside world, that it passes without applause or announcement. But inside you, it feels like a war. It's the moment you realize you've been drifting, not failing, not broken, just waiting. Waiting for the right sign, the right clarity, the right time. But here's the brutal truth no one tells you: clarity does not come. It is earned, and time, it doesn't wait. You do not drift toward greatness. You grind your way to it. You do not stumble into purpose. You build it with blood, with sweat, with relentless daily decisions. And the next 90 days, they are not just another quarter. They are a line in the sand. They will either be the reason you finally transformed, or the proof that you never truly started. That's what most people miss. They think change begins with motivation, but change doesn't start when you feel inspired. It starts when you're disgusted. Disgusted with your own excuses, sick of your own softness, exhausted by your own potential going nowhere. This isn't about a new habit or a morning routine. This is about the death of who you were, so the real you can rise. You see inside of you right now, buried under comfort, buried under comparison, buried under delay. There's a version of you that doesn't flinch when things get hard. There's a version of you that moves before he's ready. A version that believes before the evidence shows up. A version that stops chasing motivation and starts creating momentum. But that version doesn't just arrive. He has to be forged. And forging hurts, because it means choosing discomfort over ease. It means showing up after the excitement fades. It means saying no to the old patterns so you can say yes to the new standards. Do you understand what I'm telling you? This is not just about the next 3 months. This is about the rest of your life. The next 90 days will break the version of you that hesitates, or they will build the version of you that dominates. You want a breakthrough. You want elevation. You want freedom. Then you better be ready to bleed for it. Not physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Because this path, it's not for the interested, it's for the decided. And you don't make that decision once. You make it every morning you wake up tired, but move anyway. You make it every time you say no to the temptation pulling you back. You make it every night you go to sleep empty, because you gave the day everything. Discipline is not a punishment, it's a declaration. It says, I will no longer live beneath the level of who I was created to become. Let me tell you what separates the elite from the average. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's standard. Most people negotiate with their potential. The elite, they demand it. They don't care how they feel. They don't care what's trending. They don't wait for a perfect plan. They move, they fall. They adjust, they rise. They live in motion. And over the next 90 days, that's exactly what you must do. You must learn to move without motivation, to believe without reassurance, to build without applause. Because the work you're doing right now, the habits you form, the discipline, you lock in the grit you sharpen. It won't just change this season. It will change your identity. This is no longer about setting goals. This is about setting fire to your limitations. It's about waking up and deciding, I don't care how I feel, I show up anyway. It's about doing the reps when no one's watching because the dream is watching. It's about being so obsessed with your mission that distractions feel like insults. You are not here to be liked. You are not here to be understood. You are here to become undeniable. That means you stop waiting for motivation to show up and you become it. That means you stop chasing validation and you embody it. That means you stop letting pain push you around and you let it sculpt you. Pain is not the enemy. Comfort is. Because comfort whispers, you're fine where you are. But greatness screams, you were never meant to stay there. The next 90 days will confront you with every lie you've believed. That you're not ready. That it's not the right time. That your past disqualifies your future. And you better have an answer. Because if you don't kill the old story, it will kill your progress. You can't build a new life on the foundation of who you used to be. So choose now. Will you protect your old identity, or will you pursue your future? You don't get to do both. You either rise in alignment with your destiny, or you rot in the safety of your history. This is your fork in the road. This is the moment history will never see, but your legacy will never forget. The world may not notice what you do next, but your future self will. Your family will. Your dreams will. So when the resistance hits, when it gets boring, when it gets hard, when the voice in your head says, maybe tomorrow, you say no today, now, I move. Because that's what leaders do. That's what warriors do. That's what you were born to do. There comes a moment in every storm when the winds don't just howl around you. They howl through you. And in that moment, you have a choice that doesn't feel like a choice, to stand or to scatter, to stay or to sink. But here's what no one tells you: the storm isn't your enemy. It's not here to destroy you. It's here to introduce you to you. Not the version you've polished for the world. Not the one who smiles through doubt. Not the one who posts victories while hiding the wars. But the one underneath it all. Because pressure doesn't create weakness. It reveals what was fragile in the first place. And you, if you've come this far, if you're still breathing with that dream still burning quietly in your chest, you're not fragile. You're forged. Understand this: the people who change the world aren't born in comfort. They're carved in chaos. Do you think Lincoln became Lincoln without standing in the eye of political storms that tried to fracture a nation? Do you think Edison found the light without first being swallowed by darkness? 1,000 times over. Every storm comes with 2 doors: escape or elevation. And if you're going to walk through the second, you need to stop asking when the storm ends and start asking what it's shaping. The breaking isn't the breaking. The breaking is the blueprint. It's chiseling away at your excuses. It's dismantling your dependence on comfort. It's revealing the parts of you that can no longer survive where you're going. Because the old you, the one who needed applause to stay consistent, the one who folded every time life whispered, "You're not enough," the one who thought struggle meant failure, that version of you has to go. And the storm is simply the architect of your next identity. but you have to let it do its work. You have to stop resenting the resistance and start respecting it. Because no master was made on calm seas, no king was crowned in ease, and no legacy was written without first being tested. What you're walking through right now is not punishment, it's preparation, it's refinement. And if you see it that way, if you receive it that way, you become unstoppable. The person who cannot be bought by convenience, the soul that cannot be shaken by silence, the mind that doesn't need certainty to move only mission. This is what they don't teach in classrooms. That greatness has a secret training ground, and it's called adversity. That the most powerful version of you is found after everything safe and predictable has been stripped away. When all you've got left is grit, and grit is enough. So lean into it. Let the storm show you what you were never supposed to carry. Let it pull out the parts of you that still beg for external validation. Let it wash away the voices in your head that whisper, "Stay small, be reasonable, don't risk too much." Because those voices don't belong to your future. They belong to your fear. And fear doesn't get to lead anymore. You do. But only if you stop trying to survive the storm and start becoming the version of yourself that was only ever possible because of it. There's a story they don't tell you about storms. It's not in the news. It's not in the textbooks. Because it doesn't happen out there in the sky. It happens inside you. It's the storm you walk through when no one sees the tears. It's the silence after the betrayal. The morning after the dream dies. The rejection letter. The diagnosis. The moment you realize the world doesn't owe you anything and still you must rise. That storm. It wasn't an accident. It's not the punishment. It's the preparation. Because here's the truth. The ones who rise to greatness are not the ones who avoid the storm. They are the ones forged by it. Take a hard look at any titan of history, and you will see this truth echo loud. Thomas Edison. 10,000 failed experiments before he gave the world light. They called him delusional. They said he was wasting his life. But what they didn't see was that every failure was friction sharpening his clarity. Walt Disney, fired for not being creative enough, bankrupt, rejected, ridiculed. But he kept building through the storm of doubt, of ridicule, of debt, because the vision in his heart was louder than the chaos outside him. Abraham Lincoln, 8 major defeats before ever tasting real political power. But his storm wasn't sent to break his ambition. It was sent to build the steel behind his resolve. You see, we all want strength. We all want confidence. But no one prays for the pressure that creates it. You say you want peace, but peace is earned after war. You say you want power, but power is refined through resistance. The storm is not the enemy. It's the entrance exam. And while most people run from it, hide from it, blame the world for it, the few, the rare few, they build inside it. Because storms don't destroy the builder. They reveal what's still unbuilt within. They show you the cracks in your foundation. The places where your belief still depends on applause. Where your discipline still folds when comfort calls. Where your identity still depends on outcomes instead of your own internal oath. This is why the storm came. To strip away the illusion. To expose what you still haven't faced. To burn off the weakness that words alone can't fix. And when that fire rises, don't curse it. Don't ask why me. Ask instead, what is this trying to make of me? Because make no mistake, the storm is not a punishment. It's an assignment. It's a divine intervention to reroute your life from the version that talks big to the version that moves big. But you cannot become that version with the same habits, the same mindset, the same comfort addiction you've been carrying for years. Storms are sacred invitations to become the kind of person who doesn't pray for smaller waves, but builds a stronger ship. You want clarity. The storm will give it to you. You want strength. The storm will deliver, but only if you stop resisting it. Only if you stop whining and start listening. There is a lesson in the thunder. There is truth in the wind. And if you stand still long enough in the chaos, you will hear the whisper, "This isn't the end, it's the beginning." But beginnings are messy. They don't look like clean pages. They look like shattered plans, collapsed comfort, and a brutal reminder that the life you're meant for will require a version of you that doesn't yet exist. So let the storm do its work. Let it break the version of you that needed external motivation to move. Let it crush the part of you that sought validation over vision. Let it wash away the people, the patterns, the excuses that kept you anchored in smallness. You don't rise because it's easy. You rise because you must. Because at some point, the pain of staying the same becomes louder than the fear of change. And when that moment comes, when your knees hit the floor, not in defeat, but in decision, that's when the rebuilding begins. That's when you realize the storm didn't come to destroy your purpose. It came to activate it. And that's where we pick up next. And now, the moment the storm no longer feels like a punishment, but a preparation. Because at some point, the very weight that once threatened to bury you becomes the same pressure that forges you. Like carbon beneath the Earth's crust, you are being crushed, not to be destroyed, but to become something unbreakable. The storm didn't show up by accident. It came exactly on time. Not a second early, not a second late. It arrived because it was time for the next version of you to be built. But here's what most people never realize. The breakthrough doesn't come after the pain. The breakthrough is inside the pain. Every delay, every closed door, every sleepless night was the hammer striking your character. Not to weaken it, to refine it. And the fire that scared you, it was the same fire melting the old limitations that could no longer follow you where you're going. You think God let you fall behind? No. He was pulling you back like a slingshot to launch you further than you ever imagined. But He couldn't do that if you were still holding on to who you used to be. So He stripped it. He took away the distractions. He silenced the noise. He shook your world not because He was angry, but because you stopped moving. You stopped growing, and comfort had quietly become your prison. Storms are not the enemy. Stagnation is. You were never meant to be safe. You were meant to be strong. And strength doesn't come from easy days. Strength comes from pressure, from showing up when everything in you screams to quit. It comes from trusting the process when there is no proof yet. Listen, you are not being buried. You are being planted. And the roots that are growing underground, they're unseen, but they are essential. Because before God grows anything upward, He always grows it downward first. Deeper roots, stronger foundation, quiet obedience. The storm is proof that He's still working. It's not the end of your story. It's the opening scene of your greatest chapter. But that chapter doesn't begin until you decide to stop resisting and start building. You can't outrun the storm. You have to walk through it, face it, with open eyes, open heart, open hands. Because this storm, it's not about what you'll lose. It's about what you'll gain if you don't give up in the middle. When you stay in the furnace long enough, you begin to feel the shift. That same pain that used to crush you now fuels you. That same pressure that used to paralyze you now gives you presence. Suddenly you speak slower. You breathe deeper. You move differently. You don't need to scream to be heard anymore. You've become someone who knows who you are, knows where you're going, and most of all, knows who brought you here. This is the holy ground. This is the place where panic turns into power, where fear turns into fire. Because once you survive the storm, you're no longer impressed by chaos. You are the calm. And that's what the storm was always building. Not a louder version of you, but a steadier one. Understand this, storms don't last forever. But what they build in you can. So when the thunder hits again, and it will, don't run. Rise. Because you're not who you were when this started. You're wiser now, sharper, more focused, not in spite of the pain because of it. Let that sink in. The very thing you prayed to escape was the answer in disguise. And now you don't need to beg for clarity. You've earned it through obedience. This was never about comfort. It was about becoming. And the becoming always happens in the storm. Because storms don't break real men. They build them. And your foundation, it's still standing. So keep building. Let them call it chaos. Let them name it bad luck, bad timing, misfortune, failure. You don't need to correct them. Because only those who've walked through the fire with eyes open understand that the storm is not here to hurt you. It's here to hone you. There's a reason the oak grows stronger in the wind. There's a reason diamonds form under pressure. And there's a reason every great man or woman in history had to go through their own flood and build an ark anyway. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. But preparation doesn't feel like a gift when it's happening, does it? No, it feels like losing. It feels like confusion. It feels like everyone else has a map, and you're stuck in the fog. But hear this, the fog is sacred, because when everything is unclear, that's when your inner compass gets tested. Not the one built on emotion, the one built on decision. You see, we all say we want to be stronger. We all say we want to rise. But no one gets strength from sunshine. You don't build resilience from ease. You only gain power through resistance, and storms are nature's resistance training. You're being sculpted, shaped, sharpened by every delay, every setback, every moment where you wanted to quit but didn't. That's the silent curriculum of greatness. It doesn't come in books. It comes in burdens. So when the storm shows up, don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "What part of me is this storm building?" Because maybe it's not about your circumstances at all. Maybe it's about the cracks in your belief. Maybe it's about the excuses you still hide behind. Maybe it's about finally becoming the person who can carry the blessing you've been praying for. Because let's tell the truth. You've been asking for big, but you've been playing small. You've been dreaming of impact, but afraid of discomfort. You've been wanting the crown, but unwilling to lift the weight. And the storm, it doesn't care what you say you want. It only responds to who you decide to become. This is the gap most people never cross. They wait for the weather to change before they move. But champions, they move through it. They don't pray the rain away. They learn to build with wet hands. They don't wait for the tide to recede. They learn to breathe underwater. You think you need clarity. You don't. You need courage. You think you need answers. You don't. You need endurance. You think you need certainty. You don't. You need faith forged in fire, not in comfort. Faith that keeps walking even when the doors don't open. Faith that keeps building even when no one claps. Faith that says, even if it's hard, even if it hurts, even if it takes longer than I thought, I still move. And when you do that long enough, the storm begins to fear you, because it sees it can't move you anymore. It can't shake your identity. It can't manipulate your moods, because you've traded reaction for revelation. You don't see storms the way you used to. You don't run from them. You lean into them, because you finally understand. This isn't an interruption. It's instruction. The wind is teaching you focus. The rain is training your resilience. The thunder is tuning your attention. And the flood. The flood is cleaning out everything that can't go with you to the next level. So stop trying to dry off. Stop trying to hide. Stand in the middle of it. Lift your face to the clouds. Let the storm baptize your potential. Because this isn't punishment. It's promotion disguised as pain. And the man who stays in it, the woman who doesn't quit, the soul that doesn't shrink, will one day look back and say, that storm didn't break me. It built me. There is a silence that follows the storm. A silence not of defeat, but of formation. After the thunder stops yelling and the winds stop thrashing, something stirs in the soul of the one who stayed. Not ran, not hid, but stayed. Because the ones who rise don't run from the storm, they walk straight into it. Eyes open, spine straight, heart pounding like a war drum. Why? Because somewhere along the path they learned the secret most never discover. The storm is not your enemy. The storm is your entrance exam. Every great figure history has ever honored Lincoln, Churchill. Mandela Roosevelt was forged in chaos. Their names are remembered not because they avoided hardship, but because they stood inside it and still refused to bow. The world doesn't reward comfort, it rewards courage. The universe doesn't respond to your desire for ease. It responds to your readiness for growth. But that growth is rarely delivered in calm, polite moments. No, it comes wrapped in fire, in pressure, in loss, in uncertainty. It comes disguised as the very thing you thought you couldn't survive. And if you blink too soon, you'll miss it. You'll miss the truth that the storm wasn't sent to punish you. It was sent to introduce you, to strip away the lies, to remove what's fragile, to expose what's true, because the version of you pray to become cannot emerge in still water. It must be forged where your excuses drown. Look closer. Every storm is an invitation to break the rules you made when you were afraid, to rise above the limits you inherited but never questioned, to stop negotiating with weakness and start building a standard you can die with. Let the wind tear through your doubts. Let the rain wash away what you were never meant to carry. Let the lightning wake up what's been asleep inside you for far too long. This is not the end. This is your earthquake moment, not to collapse, but to rebuild better. Because anything not rooted in truth will crumble. That's not a curse. That's a gift. Your old life, the small one, the fragile one, the one built on avoidance and approval and shallow survival that life cannot weather the storm. It was never meant to. You've been given this storm because you're strong enough to build something new, not just different, unshakable. So stop asking why it's hard. Start asking what it's building. Stop waiting for it to pass. Start stepping into what it's preparing. The strongest trees are not grown in perfect conditions. They are raised in wind trained by resistance roots, clawing deeper every time the sky declares war. And you're not exempt. You're not here to float. You're here to forge. Because if it came easy, it wouldn't change you. If it was gentle, it wouldn't require power. And if it was obvious, it wouldn't demand faith. But hear this now, the pain that taught you to kneel is the same pain that will teach you how to rise. Do you think your prayers for strength go unanswered? No, they get answered in disguise. You ask for strength, and you're handed struggle. You ask for courage, and you're handed fear. You ask for purpose, and you're handed pressure. You ask for breakthrough, and you're handed the kind of silence that makes most men quit. But that silence, that's not absence. That's alignment. That's the sound of the old you being dismantled, not punished, replaced. So stop misreading the season you're in. This storm is sacred. It is shaping you in ways you cannot yet see, but soon you'll thank it. Because this is the storm that forces you to decide. To decide whether your faith was real or just a wish, whether your values were deep or just decorative, whether your identity is built on popularity or purpose. And once you decide, truly decide, you unlock a level most never reach, where peace doesn't come from circumstances, but from alignment, where confidence isn't built from applause, but from integrity, where clarity is no longer something you chase, it's something you command. But you don't get there by avoiding the storm. You get there by letting it strip you down until all that's left is truth. So if the winds are high in your life right now, if things feel like they're falling apart, if you're in a season where nothing makes sense, don't run, don't hide, don't numb. Lean in. Because this isn't your destruction, it's your construction. It's the unseen chapter where your future self gets built brick by brick, belief by belief, decision by decision. And when it's over, when the sky clears and the noise fades and the dust settles, you will not be the same. You'll be stronger, clearer, wiser, more dangerous. Because the storm didn't break you, it built you. And that was always the point. You've cried out for strength, but strength is not something you are given. It is something you are forged into. And forging is not gentle. Forging is fire. It is pressure. It is the hammer to the steel, and the silence in between strikes. And whether you realize it or not, you are being forged. Every setback that cracked your confidence, every betrayal that made you question your worth, every late night where the silence screamed louder than your thoughts, these are not signs you're cursed. They're signs you've been chosen to carry something heavy, something sacred. Because people don't grow under comfort. They grow under weight. And maybe, just maybe, that weight was never there to crush you. It was there to carve something deeper into you. Conviction, endurance, fire. You don't get those qualities by reading books or scrolling quotes. You get them by being dragged through storms you didn't ask for and showing up anyway. There's a version of you on the other side of this pain, but you will not meet them by waiting. You will not find them by quitting. Because here's the truth, they never told you the storm doesn't show up to test your weakness. It shows up to expose your strength. Not the kind that roars in public, but the kind that stays steady in silence. The kind that wakes up tired and moves anyway. The kind that gets no applause, no validation, no approval, but still builds. Because that's what warriors do. They build when it's dark. They build when no one claps. They build when everything inside them is begging for the exit. And you are not exempt from that process. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. Don't you see the storm is not the end of your story? It's the sharpening stone for the next chapter. The world isn't falling apart around you. It's falling into place for you, one painful, necessary shift at a time. And yes, it hurts. Growth always does. But pain is not the enemy. Pain is the passage. The wound is the womb. You're not breaking, you're becoming. You can curse the rain all you want, but if you don't learn to dance in it, you'll miss the planting season. Because sometimes God doesn't send the storm to drown you, He sends it to water the ground where your greatness will grow. So hold the line, steady your breath, fix your eyes, and remember you were never meant to stay dry and safe. You were meant to walk through storms and come out on fire. You say you want more. You say you're ready. But the mirror doesn't lie. And the mirror isn't moved by your words, it's moved by your decisions. Look at your life. Look around you. What surrounds you is not punishment. It's reflection. It's the sum of every moment you chose. Comfort over courage, distraction over direction, silence over standards. It's the result of every time you prayed for something bold while living something small. And that is where the war begins between who you were and who you were born to become. You've been waiting on a sign. This is it. You've been asking God for favor. But favor flows to the version of you who is willing to move without proof, to act without applause, to rise without reminders. Big doesn't answer small. Power doesn't respond to passivity. And heaven doesn't deposit in accounts of hesitation. You've been whispering prayers with trembling lips while holding on to a life that contradicts everything you asked for. You beg for abundance while hoarding comfort. You cry out for impact while hiding your light. You say you want the stage but won't even own your morning. Do you understand what you're asking for? Greatness isn't cheap. Destiny doesn't go on sale. And legacy doesn't bloom where fear is watered. You're playing small, with your time, with your discipline, with your vision, with your birthright. And yet somehow, you still expect the universe to hand you something big. To what version of you? To the one who scrolls more than they study. To the one who rewrites the goal every time it starts to feel heavy. To the one who claims to want to change the world, but won't even change their environment. You want the blessing without the blueprint. You want the breakthrough without the breaking. You want the crown, but still act like a subject. You want to be chosen, but refuse to choose yourself. That ends here, because the moment you stop pretending to be small, the moment you stop acting like you're unworthy of the mission, something unlocks. It's not just motivation. It's permission from the highest part of your being to finally rise. You've been assigned more, not by accident, not by hype, but by heaven. And heaven doesn't make suggestions. It gives orders. And the order for your life is this: expand, lead, multiply, move. You don't ask for overflow while you're still leaking time. You don't request influence while you're still avoiding discipline. You don't dream of stages while you're still scared to be seen. No more excuses. No more softness. No more praying like you're powerless. Because prayer without motion is just noise. And faith without fire is just fiction. Stop asking God to enlarge your territory when you won't even clean the room you're in. Stop asking for the mountain when you're still folding under the molehill. Stop calling yourself a builder when you haven't even picked up the hammer. You think the small version of you is safe. It's not. It's starving you. You're not avoiding pain. You're prolonging it. Because playing small is not peace. It's prison. And every time you shrink, every time you downplay your power, every time you sit back and hope someone else makes the move, you reinforce the lie that you're not ready. But the truth is, you were never supposed to be ready. You were supposed to be willing to rise while shaking, willing to speak without certainty, willing to show up before the doors open, willing to take the shot before the crowd shows up. The ones who get big didn't pray harder. They prepared deeper. They showed up longer. They stayed when it wasn't working. They moved when it didn't make sense. They outlasted comfort and gave up their right to be average. You want that life? Then burn the script of who you were. Build the man who doesn't just dream, he decides. Build the woman who doesn't wait to feel ready, she moves anyway. Build the version of you that doesn't ask for more while living like less. Because here's the hard truth. The door to your next level is not locked. It's just guarded by the parts of you you refuse to let die. You can't keep playing small and praying for big. You can't keep worshiping comfort while expecting miracles. Who will you be 90 days from now? Because that version of you is already waiting. Not hoping, not guessing, waiting for you to show up. And maybe, just maybe, you thought you had time. Time to keep thinking about it. Time to keep preparing, planning, postponing. But 90 days doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't care if you're ready. It responds to decision. Because while you've been hoping to get motivated, someone else already got moving. While you've been praying for strength, someone else has been training in silence. While you've been telling yourself you'll start next Monday, your future has been wondering if you'll ever arrive. The truth: there's no perfect morning, no ideal season, no more signs coming from the sky. There's just this moment, and what you do with it. So don't say you're tired. Say you're becoming. Don't say it's hard. Say it's working. Don't say someday. Say now. Because this version of you that's been surviving, this version that scrolls and doubts and negotiates with comfort, can't walk into the next chapter. He doesn't have the fire. He doesn't have the focus. He doesn't have the standard. But you do. You've just buried it under years of delay. It's time to unearth the discipline. Time to resurrect the mission. Time to build a life that doesn't flinch when storms come because the foundation was forged in the fire. So mark today, not with a post, not with a promise, with action. Because the next 90 days, they will either expose your patterns or reveal your power. They will either shatter the illusion that you're committed or solidify a new identity that never needs convincing again. Decide. And don't just watch the video. Live it. Every single day. Because the version of you that emerges on day 90 will not ask for applause. He won't need it. He'll be too busy building something the world has never seen before. A life without compromise. A mind without limits. And a purpose that no longer whispers, but roars. So don't ask what the next 90 days will bring. Ask who you're willing to become to meet them. And then begin. Quietly. Decisively. Unapologetically. Because average waits. But the builder moves.